it's something I like a lot. It's so basically the guy has his phone, and he when he talks to the phone and moves the phone around, it creates he sees on in augmented reality he sees the shape of his voice. And what's super cool about it, if he goes back into the shape, it will play the sound back, but in the opposite direction. And when he comes back, it plays it in the good one, and he can go back and forth, and it will do like a DJ thing. And what I like about this is that it's basically like creating a sound trace in space. And so I thought about it for a week and a half, and I was thinking that it would be very cool to have this, but as a messaging system. So like maybe the Snapchat of the future, you know, like instead of sending a 7-second Snapchat, you leave a message over there to the person you want, maybe another one here. And so that person, when they walk down the stairs, they'll be like, oh, go over there, I have something to tell you by there. And they come here and they be like, they can see your message again. And maybe, you know, when sometimes you have people sleeping over, but you leave before they leave, but you still have to tell them where to leave the keys, where to do this, where to do that, what to find in the kitchen, where you're just doing your morning as they were with you, and you say like, you can get that in the fridge, and then go in the hallway, say, don't forget to put the key underneath, and every time the people walk by, it vibrates and they see it. There, Rene. That would be actually pretty cool. Like leaving message to people that are visually impaired, but they can still hear it. And also, I was thinking there's so many applications to like such a thing. If it's possible, I don't know actually. I haven't looked at it for real. What? Yeah, for yeah, exactly. It would be pretty cool. Or even like imagine you're like in the city and you're like thinking about something and you're leaving a message to anyone who will pass right after you, like open message, like I'm here on top of the hill looking at the thing. I hope you have a great day, whatever. Or you could do poetry, or you could do use it in museums instead of those helmets. And the only thing is like the question is, can you do what this guy did? That he's creating like an output from his voice that is he can retrace on his own phone. Can you send it that message to another phone, and can you like send it to every phone that will pass by? Or and that's I don't know about it, and I'd like to look into it. Yes, Rene. Geotagging and audio. So maybe their app would locally recreate the shape. Or it could be outside even. Yeah. Like in Pokemon Go, you had those not arenas, like the spots where you could pick up the balls. They're always on the same spot because there's something there. Yeah, it will be like Visual slam. So that means you'd have to like attach your voice to a particular object so that it will know it's there. All right. Okay. So I know nothing about all of this, and I think it will be my project on top of 42 for the next 6 months, and maybe at the end, when I'll be level 6 or 7, I'll try working in it like for real. But I'm open to like any sources like you think I should read about this or this. This is what I need right now, and yeah. And you're still working. Yeah. I hope. Yeah. It's right there where you want it. Okay. I'd like to. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So they have this kind of technology. Yeah. The AR is just for fun, actually. You could do it with WhatsApp already, I guess, but the AR makes it like vivid and fun. And I think I'm over with this idea, and I was thinking, should I bring it back next week if there's more people, or yeah? Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. Should we give this to anyone?
Does anyone else want to have any ideas they want to talk about? No one else? All right, we can get started on the demo this week. Just 1 second, we're going to set Elliot up. Elliot's been working on a really cool project with the hackathon, and what he's going to show off today is a technology he was using to help test during the hackathon that made his life way easier. So we'll go ahead and get started on that. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, while we're setting up, like I always say, if anyone is interested in becoming more involved with Moonlight, I'm always looking for more people to help, even if you don't want to take it over. If you just want to get an idea of, how Moonlight works, it's a great chance, as much or as little commitment as you want, just let me know. I can help get you involved. All right, are we all set here? Elliot, you want a mic stand?
Yeah, sure.
All right, you can go ahead and start introducing your project and set up.
All right, so I'm Elliot, and I'm sort of going to be showing like what I did during the hackathon. But the cooler part about all this is that just the technology that I used to make it. It's it's really a lifesaver because it allows you to do stuff a lot quicker. I'm not sure who here is familiar with web development and the techniques used in web development. But there's a lot of other, there's actually compiled languages for web development now. There's something called Jade, which, here, let me move to it right here. I don't know if you're all familiar with it. If you see the syntax, I don't know, here, let me make this bigger. It's a lot bigger. All right, so if you see the syntax, there's no closing brackets, and like if you want to make a div with an ID or a class, you just put dot, and it's like when you're calling the class name in CSS. You just call it like that, and it automatically makes your brackets for you, and it just compiles it at when it's done, and it makes writing HTML a lot faster for me. And I've really started to love it. And then another thing that I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with is CoffeeScript, which is like it's like JavaScript without all the curly braces everywhere. And like a lot of people, they would say, oh, well, you know, there's when it's all based on indenting, it's really hard to figure out where you're going wrong. But that's why it's good to use an IDE or Atom for this sort of thing, and you get a linter, so it tells you if your indents are off or not. And anyways, then if you look, let's see, where's one that has it? Down here, I think it is. No. Well, there's this thing called inject, where every time you make style sheets or script sheets or anything like that, you put a little comment at the top that says inject CSS. And every time you make a new page, you just put that comment that says inject CSS, and you put the name of the file in there. And automatically, when it compiles it, it throws all your scripts in there so you don't forget. And it's just a lot of stuff that speeds things up. But the main thing I wanted to show is that this thing right here, it's there's some things in web development that require you to be connected to a web server to actually have it work. I think Ajax might work that way. And this thing, it allows you to start a web server on your own computer, well, like a simulation of a web server. And not only does it have a web server, but it watches all of your files. It's sort of like, I guess you could say, like how Git watches your files, and it can tell whether or not you've made changes. If you haven't made changes, it won't put it up to commit. Anyways, with this, you just put this in there, and it'll do its thing, and then as soon as it starts, it does that sometimes. It's very new. Anyways, so right here, if you see this, let's say I were to make a change here, just for the sake of argument. Let's see, where did I put that? All right, so let's find where that image is. Right here. I put the right image in there. Anyways, I saved it. I go back over here, wherever I have my web browser, and it automatically reloads it for you. And cool thing about this is, especially when you're up on the lab computers, you can work on this computer right here and plug that little link. Well, actually, I'm on localhost. It gives you your IP. You use your IP as a link with the port that it's on, and you put that on any computer, internet-capable device that you have, and you can watch it in front of you while you're developing. And right when you press the save button, it automatically saves everything for you. So I think this is just, it's also a really cool thing, because a lot of times when you're building a website, you'll put a picture in there and it won't be the right size. So you'll go to your photo editing software, you'll scale it a little bit, you'll do what you need to do to make it look better, and you'll put it back in there. And by the time you're done, your folder is filled with a bunch of garbage, a bunch of stuff that you're not even using. You're gonna have to go back in and clean that up later on, and you might delete the wrong thing, and all of a sudden one of your images isn't loading or something like that. Well, when you use this, it basically keeps all of your development and production files separately. So if you were to, while this is running, you can go into, let's see, into the development folder. And if you look at, let's just do the index. See how everything's already minified for you? As soon as it pushes it to the web server and puts it in your folder, it minifies everything, and it sort of like mocks what it would be when it's already in production. Because sometimes when you like minify or use all these different packages that make everything run quicker, it will cause problems, you know. Oh, another cool thing is that, like what I was talking about the having all those folders or pictures in there, is it only grabs what you're using in your project and it throws those into the development folder. So all the pictures and scripts and CSS and HTML that you don't use, that all stays in your development or in your well, actually, this is called development because I'm running it on a develop build right now, but when you actually build it, it goes to a build folder. It looks exactly like this, but it's called build. So it makes your website instantly optimized the minute you build it. You don't have to do anything else to it, and you can test all those changes live while you're actually building it. So yeah, and there's things called developer dependencies, the things that I was just talking about, things that are basically used during compile time or before to set everything up and make things easier. A lot of things I could think about that it's used for, but yeah, it removes your, well, it doesn't remove it. The way it pushes everything to that development or build folder, it doesn't put all your dependencies in there either, so you don't have to do a huge cleanup job when you're done building your project. Everything's already there. You can take that folder that's called build that it makes and automatically push that to your website or whatever you have, your web host, sorry, and everything's just ready to go. So I've barely even, this is barely just the tip of the iceberg. If you go to, this is all using Node and NPM, and if you go to NPM's website, you'll find all sorts of stuff that'll do all sorts of crazy things. Do you have a question? Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I just like the thing that I just showed. Let's go over here to here, and I'll put it back the way it was. Let's just undo it. And then, yeah. So I'm gonna press save right now, and then just go right back over. And before I can even get back to the page, it's already loading. Oh, but that's not good. I put the wrong file in there. Hold on a second. Forgot the G. And now it's already changed. So it's pretty much instant. Oh, okay, so there's a lot of things at work right here. The main one is called Gulp. There's two different, they're like command line tools for web development and app development. And cool thing is now everything's going towards React and JavaScript frameworks right now, but all this Gulp and Grunt, I've used those for AngularJS and React.js too. It works for those as well. And so the main thing is Gulp, and it's a JavaScript command line package or JavaScript package manager. So and when you're using it, it gives you this thing called a Gulp file, which is right here. And these are just all the things that I use. So you see there's Gulp at the top, Gulp Jade, that's what compiles the Jade, Gulp Plumber, which is what moves everything. Like if you see all this piping stuff right here, that's just moving stuff. So like once it's compiled, it'll move it, or not even if it's compiled, just stuff that's already ready to be pushed over. It moves it from your working directory into the development folder, which is also cleaned at runtime. This is like a more complex version of a makefile. If you go down here, you'll see clean task, and down here, what this does is it cleans everything. As soon as you press save, it's almost like pressing make re or typing make re into your terminal. It will just completely clean everything out and put all the new stuff in there, so that you don't have, if you delete something, when you press save, it'll automatically delete the entire development folder and push all the new stuff there, so that the file that you deleted won't be lingering in that other file or folder that was moved to before. Well, like, what do you mean? Well, did you see what just happened right there? Like, when I was just doing it? Yeah, so, I mean, it's good that it does that, in my opinion, because it lets you know that you made a mistake. So, like I said, this is just the build, or the development build. So if you were to, like I made that mistake before, you go like this, and you see, oh no, like, nothing's there. Oh, I didn't save it. Okay, well, that's weird. Usually it doesn't do that. Oh, that's why I was editing the wrong image. My bad. This is completely wrong file. All right, right here. There we go. Okay, that's why I was doing that. So it's good. It lets you be like, hey, you made a mistake, and I don't know if it shows you up here. Okay, that's that's probably the name of the image right there, I would guess. But either way, like, it does kind of push the mistakes there, but when you go back in here and fix your mistake, anything that you made a mistake on is automatically gone because it cleans the entire folder out. So I just, I like to, I really liked using this, and I'm going to use it in the future as well. And what I was talking about before I was answering your question is that way up here, these are all the things that were involved in it, because someone asked that also. So there's concat, which is basically concatenates everything, which removes all the comments and white spaces. It's basically what a compiler does, but in HTML, you don't need to compile it usually. So that's an extra step in HTML, is to concatenate and minify everything. Or I'm sorry, concatenate is where it takes all the files and puts them into one. Minifying is where it gets rid of the white space. And then there's, let's see, clean CSS. That basically it removes. Let's say you put stuff when you're building something in CSS. There's a lot of times where, like, you'll put in, like, the class name, and you'll put in the properties for it, and you'll go back to it and you realize, hey, that didn't work. So you'll go into another one, and you all of a sudden you're left with all these blocks of CSS code that aren't used. And what clean CSS does is it goes through your HTML file, and any of those classes or tags that haven't been used in the entire thing, it removes them out of there. So that's pretty cool too. And uglify is it's minifying for JavaScript. It's the same thing. And then inject is that one that I was telling you about. It injects all your scripts and style sheets in there. And see, stream series is how it works with the browser sync, which is at the bottom here. And gulp coffee is for the coffee script. Gulp debug is just a linter. This basically just tells you where all your Bower files are, which are dependencies. And then gulp clean, the clean I already mentioned. And let's see, gulp auto prefixer. That's one that I really like. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the more advanced CSS, where you put like WebKit or IE or MOZ, and there's a bunch of little tags just to make sure that all those little effects that you're adding will work cross-browser. Well, this thing does is you just put in, like, I think one of them is border box. When you use a border box, when you put it on just the default border box property, it's not going to work in every browser. And you'll have to do about, like, 3 more lines to make sure it works in all the browsers. Well, auto prefixer basically takes that one prefix that you made, or whatever you want to call it, and it knows all the necessary changes it needs to make it work on all the browsers. So it's so that you don't have to retype stuff. And then I'm actually not sure what I use source maps for. And gulp weight is just another thing that helps with the browser sync. But so a gulp file is basically like a make file. And I guess the reason why I like this so much is since I've been doing C so much since I came here and using make files, and I really liked how make files work, and I found out that I can do that with web development and make everything a lot more streamlined. And work automatically. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. But see, another thing about Gulp is it uses JSON files um, to track your dependencies. So these are all the things I've been using in here. And because the thing about it is some of some of the dependencies are development dependencies, which are things that are required if you want to give like out your GitHub and let people fork it. They're going to have to go in. If these weren't here, they would have to go into their terminal and type, npm install browser sync, npm install gulp, npm install auto prefixer, all the way down, and type all those things in there until it stops complaining that they're missing dependencies. Well, when you have this JSON file in here, and you split up your dependencies, all you have to type, you clone the repo and you type npm install, and it installs all the dependencies for you. And then these dependencies are basically just things that are required for the entire thing, like materialize, and let's see, could have sworn I used jQuery in here, but I guess it's not in there. I used a CDN for that one, so it's already, it doesn't need to be downloaded and saved locally. So yeah, and another thing about it is when you're using all these packages, one of the things that is really frustrating about these web development packages is they update these things like sometimes every week, sometimes a couple of days after you've used it. If you just type, like, if you go to install this package and you don't specify which version you want to use, it'll give you the newest version, and that can sometimes cause problems, compatibility issues, all that stuff. So right here, it's tracking all the version numbers of every package that I used, so that when someone forks this, or someone that I'm working with, I send them to work so they can like collaborate with me. They're all using the same versions of everything as I am, because one of the things that people were thinking about when you're collaborating with someone on a project that uses all these packages is that, like, what about the issue? What are the issues going to be when you collaborate, And so this kind of takes care of that. But that's pretty much it, I guess, And then with all that, with all that, it allowed me to do a lot more in 24 hours that I would have otherwise been able to do without all this stuff. So, I just it allows you to build things quicker. I guess that's all I'm trying to say. So, there's a lot of documentation on this online, and but if all of you, since you're all here, these are command line tools. So when I was first learning this stuff, it was before I came to 42, and it was very difficult to understand. But I think it'd be very easy for you guys to understand because you're already familiar with how the terminal works. So anyone have any questions? Anything like that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you again for the demo. That's it for this week, everyone. Next week, our demo will be Sean Jones and Justin Evans. They're going to be demoing off a Raspberry Pi setup to play PC games remotely, so you don't have to bring your computer around with you. So they'll be demoing that next Wednesday. Thank you.